Right, so we didn't have the best of weekends over in the crypto market, did we? But the markets, the bigger ones, they weren't open yesterday, so we're yet to really see the ramifications of the old Greenland tariff debacle that we're having with Trump. But remember, he always does this when the market is closed, in my opinion, for a reason. We're going to be discussing that along with all of the news, the technicals, and the information that you need to know to be fully up to date in this market. So if you do one thing today, watch this video so you can understand what is going on in this landscape. Do me a favor, if you want to stay up to date every day, hit that subscribe button. And looking at Bitcoin's chart, still a lovely higher high, higher low pattern forming here. We are yet to really break 90,000 or really as low as 89,000 to break this structure. So I'm not really worried about this. I was expecting this, guys. I know that sounds like a dickhead thing to say, but I was expecting it because of simply the leverage data in the market that we were talking about here on this channel. So on the channel, for the last week, I've told you I'm very worried about the situation in the market because there's significantly more longs than there are shorts. Guys, I have semi-bad news. There is still significantly more longs than there are shorts. However, it's a very different picture to what it was just before the crash. Just before the crash, right? Basically, the shorts had flatlined on this chart and the longs look like this, right? So now shorts are building up. Why is this important? Because I believe manipulation is rife in this space. And if there's essentially no shorts above us, right? Why wouldn't these manipulators push the market down to grab that liquidity before allowing it to rise? That's the general thesis. Now, it's not going to be as black and white, plain as day as this. This is like tactics used in all facets of life to convince people to not do the right thing that's most beneficial for them. So it's playing here. It's emotional mind games that are being played right before our eyes. So it's never going to be black and white. Okay, there's no shorts, therefore we're going to rip, or therefore we're going to dump exactly to a T so you can trade it perfectly. That's not how it works. It's just one of the data sets that I use. So we were expecting this. So we weren't blindsided, right? Nothing was surprising. Now, looking at the Bitcoin chart, again, I don't think it looks that bad. I'm watching $90,000 or $89,000 here. Right now, we're holding pretty nicely on what was resistance. Now, hopefully support to make the next leg to the upside. However, the market is not looking too hot when it comes to the old news. But the odds of the United States acquiring Greenland this year reach new all-time highs over on Polymarket. There's a 22% chance. Let me know what you think about this down there in the comment section. And essentially what the market doesn't like is this, along with the tariffs that Trump is now proposing for the people or the countries that won't help him out. And guys, he opened this, or he said this when the market was closed. I think that this is going to come to some sort of resolution, not resolution, but do you know what I mean? Some sort of chilled position, maybe even before the market opens later on today. All right. So we've got that happening. We also have Coinbase CEO says Bitcoin and crypto market bill will pass in January. So there's 10 days left of January, guys. This bill could potentially inject trillions into the market. Talking about money being injected, the Fed will apparently inject 8.3 billion into the market tomorrow at 9 a.m. ET. They're finally turning on the money printer and starting quantitative easing, according to OX Nobler. Will this make the market pump instantly? Absolutely not. This is just liquidity, a liquidity injection that will be injected into all markets, right? And it might actually not do anything, but this is a sign of change, a sign of quantitative easing, right? And if we get more rate cuts, this increases the liquidity in the market, which is good. We also have President Trump formally nominates Kevin Hassett as the Fed chair. He is bullish on crypto, so another step in the right direction for the FUD around the Fed. We also see that 86% of Americans wouldn't invest into Bitcoin, which is an absolutely lovely thing to see. That means we're still early, guys. I wonder what the exact numbers are for people who wouldn't invest into the stock market, but that, in my opinion, means we're still early. So what is holding the market back right now? Why is the price down? Well, I think it's simply the fact that people are unsure about Bitcoin and crypto. A lot of people are questioning, why on earth is gold and silver absolutely rallying? Why on earth is gold and silver rallying while Bitcoin is doing absolutely nothing? And guys, I'd have to just continue to say the sort of thing that sounds along the lines of it's not doing nothing. It's just ebbing and flowing the way Bitcoin does. All right. We're up in 3 years from 16K to 92K. I know it's not the run that people want. All right. I know that's not as exciting as people want. It's essentially the start of 2023 and it's now the start of 2026. So in 3 years, right, we're up 494%. That's over 100% a year on average. All right. I know before that it was significantly higher, but if we follow DCA and we average into our positions, potentially our position would sit at about 30,000, as does mine. And then we would have about a 200% gain, which is 60-70% a year. This has outperformed almost all markets apart from gold in the last year. All right. But that's just something that happens, right? That doesn't mean that, in my opinion, we should be jumping into gold, right? Gold in November 22 at the same time was down here and it is up 187%. So in the same time, Bitcoin has done twice as good as gold, but everyone is saying, dump your Bitcoin, buy gold. Gold is the king. Gold is this, gold is that. Gold hasn't even done half as well as Bitcoin in the same amount of time. And yet the entire media, the entire retail landscape, and essentially everyone who isn't a crypto degen like us is saying, well, I should have bought gold. No, you should have just dollar cost averaged into Bitcoin. It's done better. But alas, that's what people think. Now, I think that money will shift, right? I think that we will have more upside here. It may be a dead cat bounce before we head into a further, deeper bear market, but I believe that it's less to do with the 4-year cycle and way more to do with how the liquidity flows and how people's perception on Bitcoin and crypto flows. So if Bitcoin can break above 100K, I think money will flow into Bitcoin, because then we'll get a media frenzy around it. Oh, it turns out that Bitcoin isn't a scam. It turns out that Bitcoin doesn't only go down, considering it's only gone down for about 3-4 months. That's what the headlines will say, just like they say about gold. No one was talking about gold before it rallied. Nobody, right, was talking about silver before it did this. No one. Right? Like mainstream media wise. I'm sure there were some YouTubers who absolutely managed to nail this, but no one was talking about, just like Bitcoin and crypto right now. And guys, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.